Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create ecosystems and environments where people thrive. Joining us today is, I am so excited for this conversation, Kathy. She is a keynote speaker, author, comedian, LinkedIn learning instructor, and the creator of BoldNet, a framework designed to help leaders and teams build the kind of support systems where creativity and courage can actually live together and actually thrive. She blends more than 20 years of leadership experience with comedy, improv, and innovation strategy to ultimately help organizations move beyond this fear and what she calls innovation theater. Kathy, it's so good to see you.
It's so great to see you. I feel so seen. I'm like, oh my God, Kyle gets me.
Yes, it is so good to see you. You are such a light, oh my gosh, you are energetic and electric. I've seen your speeches. I've read through your posts. I've read your book. You are doing just phenomenal work. I appreciate you so much. And I know that you hold a lot of titles and you've done a lot of things, but for our audience, who are you outside of all of those things?
Oh man, what a great question. I think outside of that, I'm just a human trying to find my way to be more of who I am in the world and to create the space where others can do the same. And I think that's the thing. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I am a silly person. I love to laugh. And I want others to be themselves too. So I'm sort of on that journey of just how do I reclaim all that human stuff that unfortunately too much of corporate America can sometimes take away.
Yeah.
And then you have to work to reclaim it. So I think that's who I am. I'm on that journey. And I get excited when other people show up as they are. And I'm like, that person's evolved. And I love that. I love seeing people reclaim and own who they're meant to be outside of this corporate environment that sometimes just makes it really hard for us to be who we are.
You know, it's so interesting that you say that because I believe that I'm just operating in a sense of flow and I'm showing up in these conversations and in these spaces truly myself. And things seem to be just rolling with this crazy sense of momentum. And I'm just so thankful. You've worked with some major companies like Amazon, Cisco, IBM, Stanford Hospital. You're a TEDx speaker, featured in Forbes, LinkedIn Learning, all of these different things. Where did you begin this work? Like, what was the moment in your career, in your life, where you were like, I'm going to start doing this, and this is why?
You know, it's interesting, Kyle, because I don't think I ever started it. I felt like I was a part Muppet working in corporate.
I love
I mean,
that.
listen, I took that DNA test too, and I got different results. I was part Muppet. I was like, and I just knew early on, I just always loved to laugh and I didn't take myself too seriously. And early on in tech, because right out of college, I went into tech and people were like, no, you can't do that. No one will take you seriously. You have to stop doing that. And the messages I got, and I was like, well, why? And why do we listen to that? And why do we try to take somebody's joy and like stuff it away? And why are we so threatened by that? And I remember thinking, you know, I listened to that for a short time and it really caused me a lot of anxiety and really I became somebody I wasn't. And I remember at a certain point, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I have to be who I am. And that's when things changed for me, Kyle, is I started being more of who I really was and showed up early on before the world told me to stop doing it. When I started just being more me and using my humor, my God-given sort of talents of just laughing with people, things changed for me, and I started connecting more, and I went, okay, this is a sign that I'm supposed to be doing this. So I think I just started to try to reclaim a little bit in that role. And I finally realized that if I was going to be fully who I was meant to be, I was going to eventually have to leave tech and corporate to start my own thing. And I was okay with that. And I made peace with the fact that, look, corporate can be a lot of things. It can be what you make it. And yes, and I'm also meant for something else at some point. So I think I just realized that to do it the way that I felt that I needed to do it, with all the humanity and grace and laughter, I was probably going to have to leave. And I sort of went, okay, then that's what I'm going to need to do eventually. So it was really, my business was really reclaiming all of who I was, because I was pretty fragmented. I was doing comedy at night, tech during the day, and I felt like two different people.
Yeah. I saw this, I don't remember the name of the movie. I recently saw it. It was about this gentleman that essentially was going through this, I don't think it's a midlife crisis, but this transformation inside of himself. He was in a marriage that he wasn't really happy in, and he started doing improv and stand-up comedy at night. It was on Amazon Prime, and it really transformed not only him, but his marriage as well. And it really inspired me, Kathy, to want to start doing stand-up, because I'm a storyteller. I love stories. Me and my friends, I feel like we laugh at each other all the time, but I don't really feel like I'm funny. I really just want to do it so that it can get me out of my comfort zone. So I'd love for you to talk about that transition, though. You were this woman with all of these titles, with all of this experience. You were driving change, and you really stepped out and started doing something different. Like you said, you were fragmented. You lived essentially different lives in a sense. How could you encourage that person that's listening right now that is working within that role, but there's so much more in their tank, but they don't have the courage to really step out and do it?
Oh, wow. I think that is the billion-dollar question. I think for me, I knew how happy I was when I was integrated. And at some point, despite being told, don't do that here, you're a woman in tech, no one will take you seriously. And I realized, honestly, to hell with that, because I realized when I was integrated and I was using my God-given sort of talents and ability, I was so much more connected with everybody and myself, and I was happier. And I knew that what they were saying just wasn't right.
That's good.
And it's like, it was their fear. Good people projecting their fear onto me like a giant movie screen. And when I realized that I couldn't live that for them, I had to really integrate who I was. It kind of changed everything for me. And I started bringing in, who I was on comedy stages outside of work. I was bringing that more inside, and something changed for me. And I remember my teams relaxed more, they innovated more, they trusted each other and me more. And I realized I was headed the right way when trust changed in the teams I was leading. And I thought, I know that, okay, this may not work for everybody, but it works for me and it works for my team, and my team is better for it. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I think the message I would say is, if you feel in your soul, there's something in there that's telling you, I'm made for more than you are. You are. And I think everyone should do comedy, because even if it's just improv, not stand-up, because comedy is yes, about being funny, but it's so much more than that. It's about owning who you are, polishing your skills and your presence and your listening ability. And also, most people I know who do stand-up, they started because they had a message. Not because they wanted to be funny per se. They had a message they wanted to communicate with the world. And humor gives us the tools to be able to say the hard things in ways that people will hear.
That's good. That's so good. And you have this term called innovation theater. I'd love to know, what do you even mean by that? And why do so many organizations fall into it?
Okay. I love this question. Innovation theater, we've all seen it and done it and contributed. I did too in tech. I get it. It's fear. So, where you're working for a company and they're like, let's go innovate, but then they punish you and they're like, go innovate. And also don't make mistakes. And people are like, what do you want from me? And people are so fragmented. And so what they do is they hide. They're in meetings and they're like, that sounds good. Everyone talks about meetings. They have flow charts and the Post-its.
Yeah.
But nobody actually innovates. They just have a lot more meetings to talk about it. Innovation theater, Kyle, here's how you know. You look at the boss. Everybody, if you look around in a meeting and everyone's looking to see if the boss is laughing before they do, you're in innovation theater. Because you are looking to modulate your behavior to see if it's okay.
Exactly.
And so much of our time is spent in innovation theater because fear is high. And when people are in innovation theaters, 3 reasons: change is scary and hard. Companies too often, they only reward the status quo, but they don't think they do.
Yeah.
And then finally, people don't feel supported to take a risk. And what happens if they fail? Are they ostracized or are they rewarded for taking a smart, small risk? And in too many of these companies, they're ostracized or made to feel stupid because they made a mistake. And so fear is really high. So innovation theater is that funny. It's scary, but it's also funny because human nature is such that there's a lot of brilliance out there that's never materialized, not because the talent's not there, but because of fear.
That's good. And let's talk about fear. You talk in one of your concepts that essentially fear is a symptom of lacking of support. And humor is kind of like that lifeline for it. Like where does humor come in to all of this?
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because in my experience over many years, laughter is the single biggest measure of trust and psychological safety. Positive humor, not negative humor where they put each other down, but when you laugh from a place of like, oh my God, me too, that is the single biggest proxy we have for how do we measure trust and psychological safety. So when laughter is gone, like your best people leave, they're out the door. And I think humor comes into it because when I know from leading teams is that when we can laugh at mistakes and normalize failure, smart, low stakes mistakes, people feel safe to try. They're not so scared. And it's a measure of, can I let my guard down? Can I make mistakes? Can I spitball and be okay? So when humor, positive, healthy humor, not put down humor, is very freely given and displayed, it is a measure of how safe people feel.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really correlated. And I say leaders, I know you've been told to not listen to laughter, and I'm telling you that is wrong. Because when the laughter goes, trust is gone.
So what I'm hearing is like when laughter goes, your people go. What can we do though as leaders to be able to ensure that we're creating professional environments, of course, but then also integrate and create spaces that are psychologically safe where laughter is freely welcomed?
Model it. It's so important for leaders to be able to laugh at themselves and to be able to admit mistakes. We want our people to do the same, but leaders don't go first. And here's the thing, leaders always go first.
That's good.
They always admit it and then laugh at themselves. And if you create a culture where you make it safe to laugh at like mistakes, one of the things that I did when I was leading innovation in tech was I learned this from a boss. We would always have, if things didn't go well, and I asked my team to take smart risks, we would laugh and go around the room and I would start like, what did you fail at and what did you learn? And I would start and we would go around the room and then we would laugh at it. Like we would have these post-mortem meetings, Kyle, where like, okay, that campaign did not go well. Let's have some fun with it. Let's do a eulogy for this campaign. It didn't work. And then let's all say something funny. And people would be like, well, it died doing what it loved. And then people would go around and say funny things. And we laughed. And we learned and we said, all right, here's what we got from it. And it made it safe for people to go, okay, I got some learning. Now we're smarter. And I think it created a safety net for people that is so absent, but it needs to be there.
What do you find that is one of the tactics or one of the strategies that organizational leaders listening in today can implement so that we can start to create a culture or an atmosphere or create that condition where this is even possible within our workplace? Because a lot of places that I go into, when we're doing culture work, it's very stale. It's very stoic. It's very lacking creativity or some personality in a sense.
Yeah.
We have to embed some of that in there somewhere. What can we do? Like, what's an action that I can do today or tomorrow that can start at least oiling up our laugh tank?
Yeah. One of the things I think it's really important is to ritualize and normalize making mistakes and failing in low stakes. We're not talking about betting the farm.
Yeah.
You and I both know that you can't do big mistakes if you can't do small mistakes. So you start with the small things, and every leader should, model it and make it safe and laugh about it. But the biggest thing is really what I call building the ensemble. It's like an improv team. I want everybody to be able to, in meetings, to be able to yes and each other, listen to each other. Doesn't mean they're going to do the idea. It doesn't mean that. But if we yes and each other, it's like, I hear you. And I think what you're saying is this, Kyle, and we could do that. And we start to change the social contract in the way that we show up in our teams. Then we start to have a trickle effect. But we can't ask people to go innovate when we haven't made it safe in our team. So I think the single biggest thing that leaders need to do is change the way they show up and how their teams operate. And if it's scary to you as a leader listening, okay, here's what you do. Show up and admit you don't know. I know it may require vulnerability, but if you're expecting your team to do things that you are not willing to do, therein lies the problem. So I would say leaders, just say, hey, look, I know we haven't always been honest or talked about this. We've been busy and we've neglected culture. But you know what? I know I feel awkward about it, but let's just talk about it. Let's just admit it's okay to feel awkward and have laughs at it. Yeah. But let's just make it better over time. Start somewhere. Even admit that it's awkward. And it's like you're having the sex talk with your teenagers. Nobody wants to have that. It's awkward. But if you avoid it, it doesn't get better. So I think
it gets more awkward when you find it.
It gets more awkward. So be willing to, as a leader, to put your ego aside and look awkward and have those conversations, because when you start to make it safer, your teams will actually, over time, that trust is being built, but you've got to start there. And I know that.
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
Depending on where you came from, that might be a big ask, but I'm telling you, it works over time. But it's like democracy. A great team is like democracy. It's not perfect, but you keep showing up to make it better.
No, exactly. Yeah. And it's a process, just like anything else. And, with any process, your goal is to be able to get to the result, but you can't really achieve the result until you really recognize what is going on in the first place. So I'd love to know, Kathy, in your opinion, like, why aren't teams and organizations like this now? Like, why are they lacking creativity and this innovation or this ability to be able to change?
I think it really comes from, and I came out of, tech, and it's fear. I think it's fear, and it's old leadership dynamics. I think leaders have been taught. I came out of a command and control, the Steve Jobs.
Yep.
I tell you to go innovate and you jump. And I
Yeah.
think that worked for an older world, but it doesn't work today.
Mm.
And I think, generations have changed, needs have changed, AI has created pressure and demands that we don't fully understand. So we're in a different world. And so I think what happens is old school leadership and fear, and that fear-based command control,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. And you're asking teams to, think about it. You're asking teams to go innovate, and they might get laid off by AI, and you're telling them to go innovate, but you've never defined what innovate means. And they're like, what does that even mean? So I think we've never, honestly, there's too many companies out there playing by old rule books and old rules of leadership,
Good.
and it's busted. And I'm going to say it's busted. And if we're not willing as leaders to confront the status quo and to make it better, I don't know how you expect your teams to do stuff you're not willing to do yourself.
And that's where that modeling comes in. When I was a 8th grade ELA teacher, we always believed in modeling the behavior or the actions or the expectations that we want these students to be able to follow.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to that leader, though, that they want innovation, but they haven't necessarily created the condition or the circumstance that makes this feeling of experimentation even safe?
Yeah. I'd say exactly that. I get that that's what you want, but you can't make the place unsafe by not talking about it and then somehow magically expect that your people will rise above that, because your weakest link in leadership in the company is going to be your teams will never rise above that weakest link. So you have to model it, and starting to have those conversations with your teams, being a little vulnerable, being able to define what these types of things mean. If you want better from your team, it all starts with you as a leaders. It starts with us.
Yeah.
And it cannot get better unless we model it. I think that's really what it is. And it can be little things. So I know for a lot of leaders, it's scary. And maybe the prospect of, I'm not asking you to do 180 overnight.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to happen. Let's face it. Think about it this way. At the gym, you just one day at a time, you're increasing your reps. Well, what if in your team, you just 1% bolder every day, 1%? Opening the conversations. I know everyone's been quiet. Nobody has said anything about this new AI thing. Let's talk about it and make it safer. Show up and be willing to deposit at the bank of trust just a little bit every day. Show up and make it a little safer. And so look at not what you have to do in the long run, but just 1% bolder every day to create those conditions. So look at it realistically. So you don't think it's like, I got to lose weight overnight, but look at it as just a little bit every day. But it really starts with building the team and that ensemble and what you're willing to deposit in the bank of trust.
That deposit is necessary, though. And the more and more that you deposit into that bank, you start to really see change and evolution and growth, and just so many things evolve. And it's so beautiful to see. I'd love to know, like, behind you, it says yes and you. I just need to know, can you just talk about what this means? I feel like that's behind it.
Yes, it says yes and you. And in improv, there's a fundamental one of the founding tenets of really important tenets of improv comedy is yes and. And we really mean it's about making your partner look good. So if you said, Kyle, hey, you know what? There's a big elephant behind you. I can't say yes, but I'm like, oh my gosh, and that elephant, oh my gosh, it's a magic elephant, and I'm going to ride him all the way to the moon. I wouldn't deny your offer. I would yes and you. And yes and you is a reminder that while we're yes anding other people, and we have to yes and ourselves.
Mm.
I think too often we deny ourselves. I can't say that. I can't speak up. I can't. And I think leaders have to make it safer. At the same time, I also really believe that part of it is not just top down, it's bottoms up. Culture is also bottoms up. And we can show up for each other and we can show up for ourselves by yes anding ourselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
What does that mean when you say it's not just top down, but it's bottom up? Can you give me a visual or a picture for those listening in what that really means to you?
Sure. Here's what it means to me is that I think sometimes we wait for bravery and courage. We wait for permission, top down permission. And I really believe that great teams don't necessarily wait for permission. Great teams show up as the teammates they want to be. So if I wait for my boss to give me permission, yeah, leaders, we have to do better. 100%. I also think we need to show up and be the person we want to be for other people that we wish they were for us. So if I yes and you and I go, you know what? We're yes butting each other, that won't work. Yes, but that sucks. Yes, but we shouldn't do that. And if all we're doing is yes butting each other, which in improv we call blocking and denying an offer. If I show up as the person that says, yes, and Kyle, that idea was really amazing. Let's talk about what that would look like. What if we took the reins of control as teammates and didn't just wait for permission top down, but started showing up more bottoms up for each other the way we want people to show up for us? So I don't think we have to wait for a revolution of permission. I think we show up and we're like, yeah, let's yes and each other.
Yes.
We don't have to do the idea. We don't have to go there. But just listening and yes anding each other creates a dynamic shift where we go, I'm being listened to. That person heard me. I feel seen. What would that look like? And what kind of revolution bottoms up if we showed up for each other? What would that look like?
I love this so much. This is giving me so much light. Because it's like it's speaking my languages. I feel like I forget sometimes when I'm talking to just amazing people like yourself that I'm on a podcast and I feel like we're just chit-chatting. And this is amazing. So for somebody that's listening in right now, where do they begin? Like, what would be the first step for them to begin to embody what I would see this as a mindset shift, so that they can start being the person that is committed to doing the work that will achieve these types of results?
Yes. And I think it starts with just little shifts. So I would ask you, here's a little exercise for people just to start with themselves. I mean, because everybody wants everyone else to change, and it starts with us. We have to do it. Like the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, that starts with us, right? I would say really small shift is be aware of the language you speak into the world. So catch yourself, be very cognizant of like, if I'm yes butting somebody, if I'm yes butting, or if I'm shutting an idea down and why I might do that. And I would say, start with really catching yourself. Use a rubber band. And every time conditioning, you say yes, but snap that, ow, ow, ow. And start to really be aware of the energy shift when you start to say, instead of yes, but, yes, and I hear what you're saying. I'm wondering if we can reschedule another meeting to delve deeper so I can better understand you. Just that dynamic shift of using yes and language says to the person, I hear you, I see you, I'm not blowing you off. And that can build a different relationship that we're trying to have. So I would say take ownership of not just waiting for leaders to do better. They should. Be the leader and start to change how you show up and challenge yourself to yes and be mindful every time you yes but. Why are you yes butting? And think about how you show up and start to take ownership of that. Yeah.
And your work does this. Your keynotes talk about this frameworks. Like, what can someone expect from working with you or even just listening to you speak on stage?
I think they can expect a lot of laughter. I want people to laugh and feel comfortable because we're human. Yeah. First of all, we're human. And there's no, sometimes you have good humans in bad situations or in tough situations. And so it doesn't mean that we can't change. And I want us to take control back. So I think what they could do is feel challenged, laugh a lot at the humanity of it all. I tell a lot of stories that I think are relatable. I also offer mindset shifts that help us they come from comedy and improv that help us go, this is how most humans behave, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Let's make this shift, and this shift can have a huge impact, and let me show you how and why. And then I give them a framework of like, what does building a safer net look like for people? What would that be? So I think it's really, I like to have people walk out of working with me laughing, feeling inspired, knowing they can do it. I don't believe in shame and blame. I believe in laughter and happily ever laughter. And
I like that. Happily ever after. I like that, Kathy.
yeah.
This conversation, I just knew I knew it would energize me in so many different ways. Like, how can I work with you? How can, that person listening in really learn this psychology, this mindset, and begin to implement this within their organization on a day-to-day basis?
Start small. I think, give yourself some grace. I'm a big believer in being human, and just give yourself grace, because so many people, you weren't taught how to do this. In fact, it was weeded out of us in corporate America. So much of it has been command control. So it's not your fault. And what I want you to do is just little bits of start to own yourself. And when you start to own yourself a little bit and self-acceptance, you're a little bit easier on everybody else around. Have you noticed that, Kyle? Like, when we accept who we are, we're easier on everyone else. And I think you meet the harshest people, but they're probably harshest on themselves.
That's good.
So little bits. And I would say the way to think about it is, if you're looking for a mindset shift, if you're looking to change your culture, but build some scaffolding, I'm not going to tell you to change your culture overnight, but I'm going to help you build some realistic scaffolding that can change it. Lots of laughter, taking down judgment, taking down fear, so that we all feel empowered to do a little bit better. That's the way that I work. If you're looking for fear-based stuff, that's not me. I have a lot of favorite 4-letter F words. That is fear and fail are not.
That's not one of them. We're just going to remove those from our vocabulary.
That's it. Remove it. But free, I like free.
Yes.
So those are the kinds of things that they can expect, but start small. Give yourself grace.
Yes. Where can people find you online? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, the best way to find me online is keepingithuman.com. Go to Keeping It Human, because that's what I try to do. It's what I believe in. Go to keepingithuman.com, all that stuff. And, happy to chat. It might just be the most fun chat you've had all day.
Yes. Yeah. No, it definitely will. And this was definitely one of the most fun chats that I've had this month. So I am so excited to continue to build with you, build community with you, and just share your message. I appreciate you so much. All of our listeners, follow her online, go to keepingithuman.com. Like, that is the literal best domain that I've heard in such a long time. So I appreciate you so much, Kathy. And one of the questions that we always ask our listeners is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you create is the culture you create. Go make yours worth spreading. I will see you all next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.